Today's class is gentle, so just start by lifting and rolling your shoulders back. And breathing in, raise your hands up, clasp and reverse. Stretch up, look up if that's good for your neck, or otherwise look forward. Bring your head back to center and just gently go from side to side. Come to the center and lower your hands back down alongside you. And then lift and roll your shoulders. Step your feet out hip width apart. And then just very gently sway from side to side. So just a reminder that this movement you'll find it in a lot of Eastern movement traditions, and it's believed to work through all your energy centers. So it clears stagnating energies. And on that theme, and given the current circumstances, the stagnating energy that you want to disperse in today's times is in the upper lungs. And so come to slow your swaying from side to side down. And then when you come to standstill, just lift and roll your shoulders. You can bring your feet hip width apart to be comfortable. And this is the upper lung clearer. So join in when you'd like to. You can breathe in through your nose. Optionally, you can either breathe out through your nose, which is very yogic, or you can breathe out through your mouth. So starting. Last one. And then just sway from side to side. So if you just do that one exercise once a day, optimally you would do that up and down movement for 25 times. And then either swing your arms up like we're doing, or keep your arms low and go from side to side. And that in itself will dramatically boost your immune system. Particularly against viral things, as I said, the lungs, the upper lungs. It just clears everything out. And of the 5 energies that I was talking about when we went from side to side, the energy that we're targeting is the upward energy, it's the Udana energy, and then just sway from side to side. Lift and roll your shoulders. Bring your hands to your heart center and press your palms together. This has the effect of adjusting your posture and alignment. With your hands together, you tend to stand up and align properly. And then drop your hands as you circle your hands up. Palms touch. Bring your hands back down through the center and carry on rolling down, touching your hands either to your shins or to the floor, depending on your capacity. Breathing in, start to lengthen yourself, straightening your knees a little bit, and lengthen from the tailbone to the top of the head. Breathe out, bend your knees, bend your elbows. And as you breathe in, press your feet into the ground as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing. Carry on, raising your arms upwards, touching palms, and then bringing your palms back down to the center. And we start again as we circle our arms up, palms together through the heart center. Carry on down as you bend your knees, bend your elbows, come to either touching your shins or the floor. Press your hands down to support yourself as you lengthen from the tailbone to the top of the spine. Breathe out as you bend in, elbows out. And then breathing in, press your feet down as you roll up vertebra by vertebra to standing again. And last time as we bring our palms together, breathing in, circle your hands up, palms touch. Breathe out, roll down through the center, bending your knees, bending your elbows, hands touch either the ground or touch your shins to lengthen your spine. Breathe out, bend your knees, bend your elbows, and breathing in, rolling up very gently, vertebra by vertebra. Bring your hands together at the heart center. Take an in and an out breath here, and then bend your knees to come to a seated position. So I'm going to come to a cross-legged position, but if you would like to have your legs out in front of you, we're not going to be here for very long, so please feel that you can adopt a pose where you feel comfortable. And when you've chosen your seated position, just bring your hands either to either side of you to lengthen your spine. Breathing in, raise your hands up above your head again. Breathe out, lower your hands back down to touch either side of the mat. Breathing in, raise your hands up. And breathing out, lower your hands back down alongside you. And then start to breathe in for the final time as you raise your hands up. The hands touch and you stop your breath. Initiate the exhalation and then start to lower your hands back down to either side of you. Finish your movement and finish your breath. Slide your left hand slightly out to the left and raise your right arm. Palm down is good, chin in, and you slide as little or as much as you would like. Tummy in, engage your perineum to support yourself to come upright, and then gently lower your right hand. Slide your right hand slightly out away from you and raise your left arm up. Palm turns down, chin in. You can look either straight ahead, up or down. Press your right hand into the ground. Perineum comes in, tummy engages to support you lifting up. And then breathing out, lower your hand back down alongside you. Bring your left hand to your right knee and your right hand behind you to lengthen the body as you breathe in. And as you breathe out, turn just very slightly to the right. You can look over your right shoulder, but the head is the last thing to turn. And take an in and an out breath here. Come back to the center, hands on the knees, to lengthen your spine. And now bring your right hand to your left knee. Your left hand goes behind you. Lengthen your body as you breathe in. And breathe out, turn to the left. Press your hand down as you breathe in and turn to the left. And then gently come back to the center. Hands on both knees just to lift your spine up once more. And then very gently bring your hands out in front of you and walk your hands a little bit or a lot forward. So the aim is to keep the back of the neck long and lengthen from the tailbone to the top of the head. And this is a very gentle forward bend, which is calming for the nervous system. And then walk up. Come to bring your hands back onto your knees and release your seated posture to come to kneeling to cat-cow. So come, however that suits you, to a tabletop position on all fours. Your hands are shoulder width apart and your knees are hip width apart. You're pressing down your thumb and your second finger, spreading your fingers, and then just very gently sway your hips from side to side. Come to the centre, and as you breathe in, dip your back and either look up or look along the mat, depending on your neck capacity. Breathing out, round your back, your chin comes to your chest. And repeat, dipping the back as you breathe in, and rounding back as you breathe out. So we're beginning to move the spine and warm the spine up, breathing in. Just carry on in your own breath time. And as you're bringing your chin to your chest, you're activating the vagus nerve, which is very key in anti-inflammation. So you want to get any inflammation down, particularly in these times. It again helps your immunity, also helps with digestion. And just carry on breathing in and rounding chin to chest. And then come to neutral and slide your right foot back, tuck your right toes under, so that you're stretching your right leg behind you. Your toes stay on the ground. And then bring your right foot to cross over the left foot, so that your right foot is towards the outer left back edge of the mat. And then you can optionally turn to look over your left shoulder and look at your right foot. If that's too much, then just enjoy the leg stretch. Come out of that, come back to tabletop. Just sway your hips once more from side to side, rockabye baby. And then slide your left leg back, tucking the left toes under. Then cross your left foot over your right. And optionally turn your head to look over your right shoulder and towards your left foot. Come back to the centre. And now bring your big toes together and widen your knees and come into, if your knees are playing you up, I would say extend to child, but if you don't like going back and your knees are playing up, keep your bottom high. So either come to child with your bottom up, or just, if you've got the capacity, come to bringing your bottom towards your heels. And here you can use a cushion to get under your knees. If you don't like coming down very far, then bring your elbows in and make fists with your hands. You can lift your bottom slightly to rest your head on both of your fists. And in this way, this keeps your blood flow and your spine more parallel with the ground, so it's quite restful then on the heart. And it's still a forward bend. So choose the pose or modification within child's pose that suits you. And then very gently release that. And come back to kneeling once more in tabletop. And then tuck your toes and come to your very first downward dog. So gently, you can have your feet wider than hip width apart if you feel this is helpful. Keep your knees bent as well, that's an option. And when you feel you're stable, then begin to extend your legs a little bit and walk the dog, moving your hips from side to side. And then very gently walk your hands to your knees to your feet to your hands to your feet. Really bend your knees. And then roll up, vertebra by vertebra to standing. Use your hands against your thighs to support you to come up. Lift and roll your shoulders. Bring your hands up and your thumbs together as you just sway from side to side. And then just turn slightly to one side, come to the centre, and turn slightly to the other side. Come to the centre. Press your feet down, stretch up. You can either stay looking forward or up depending on your neck capacity, and almost stretch your hands back so that you're in a back bend. And then come to upright. Release your hands to your waist. That opens you out here, but also opens your lungs, giving space for your lungs. And breathing in, turn your head to the left. Breathing out, turn your head to the right. In to the left and out to the right. We're moving slowly as we carry on with this. So you're giving space to your lungs, you're opening your shoulders, you're balancing or beginning to balance the thyroid and the parathyroid glands that are situated around the throat area. And you're beginning to balance the brain hemispheres as you turn your head from side to side. You're also beginning to free off your neck from a physical viewpoint. So this exercise ticks a lot of boxes and it's so simple. And then you're also coordinating your movement with your breath. So it becomes a breathwork exercise. It also becomes a mindfulness exercise because it's hard to retain thoughts when your focus is going from side to side. You can close your eyes and then come back to the centre. Drop your hands, lift and roll your shoulders and clasp your hands behind you to aim the knuckles to the ground. This opens your shoulders but also your lung meridians. It lifts your chest, so from a mood enhancing perspective it's very good for depression and uplifting, particularly at these times. And then release your hands and come to our flying. So this strange movement is, as I'm sure I've said before, is excellent for moving all the joints. And particularly when it's cold and dark, we might not necessarily go through our complete joint movement. And then come to standstill. Bring the hands to the heart once more, and we're going to swan dive as we raise our hands up, touching at the palms. Bring them through to the centre. Bend the knees, bend the elbows, roll down. Have your hands tight touching the floor or your shins as you just sway, your knees are bent from side to side. And then just bend your knees again and come back to kneeling and tabletop position. And just one cat and then one cow. And then move your hands to the left to give space for your right foot to come up. And now bring your hands either side of your right foot. You can have a cushion under your left knee if you need to. And you can also move your right foot out towards the edge of the mat to stabilise your balance. Use your hands against the front of your right shin to press your hands as you come up to kneeling. And then open your palms up to the sky. So again, this is part of a moon pose series, but it's again opening the hands, opening again, checking into different meridians, looking forward. If you look up, you're welcome to do that. Your balance might wobble a bit more. And then bring your hands, palms down. Optionally, you can raise your arms up, but again, if this stresses you or stresses your balance, just simply rest your hands on your waist. And then coming forward, hands either side of your front right foot. Tuck, or first of all, just bring your right hand to your right waist and open out to the side. So that might be enough. Look to the right. The next option is to raise your right hand up. And the next option, either with your hand up or down, it's totally optional because this is strong, is to lift your left leg up and stretch up, a side stretch. That's very strong. You can have your hand on your waist or just keep it with your knee down. And then bring your right hand down either side of your foot and bring your left knee to the mat. And just walk your bottom back so that you're stretching your right leg, and optionally raise your right toes to the ceiling, stretching out your right leg, particularly at the back. And then walking your hands forward, come back to tabletop. And just gently rock from side to side. And then move your hands to the right. And that gives you space to lift up your left foot, bringing your hands either side of your left foot. You can come forward because your weight is body weight, upper body weight is being supported by your hands beyond 90 degrees on your knee. But now come back so that your knee is at a 90-degree angle, your left leg knee is at a 90 degrees angle, and then bring your hands to your shins to help you walk up. Open your palms, looking either forward or up. The action of looking up with your eyes is one that automatically then invites your brain waves, or your brain pattern, to go from its daily beta operational mode to theta, and if you stay there long enough, down into alpha. So it releases creativity and calms the mind again. Optionally raise your hands up or keep your hands on your waist, looking forwards or up. Keep your hands on your waist. And then come to bring your hands either side of your front left foot. Bring your left hand into your hip crease, and you can slightly pull your left hip back if you want to. And then either keep your hand on your left waist to open out to the left, or you can raise your left hand upwards, and then hand either up or down. Optionally, you can bend, tuck your right toes and lift up your right leg to stretch your right leg back. It is an option.
And then breathing out, bring your hands either side of your left foot again. Lower your right knee. And then very gently walk your bottom back so that you stretch your left foot and your left toes then would extend out and up. And then very gently walk your hands forward to either side of your left foot and slide your left knee back once more into tabletop position. From here, optionally walk your hands forward so you're still on your knees so that you come into a sort of up dog, and you have an option to bend your feet up. You can even cross your ankles. And then if you've lifted your feet, cross the other ankles. And then lower your feet to the ground. Lower your entire body to the ground. And stretch your arms out. You're on your tummy in front of you. Walk your hands back into Sphinx pose. So you're on your elbows, your hands are in front of you. Feel that the further away that your elbows are, the softer this is on your back. So just where you feel is good. And Sphinx pose is a pose that you'll find quite a lot in restorative yoga that I'm quite interested in, and aspects of yin yoga too. So Sphinx pose is classified as a back bend, and it's very uplifting for the mood. Again, it's a very simple way of doing that. Lying in your tummy is very helpful for any excess tummy that might be there. And then I'm going to invite you to press your elbows into the ground and almost pull yourself forward, and then just relax. That pulling forward just stretches out your tummy a little bit, and then just relax. And then come to bend your elbows out to the side, your palms are one on top of the other, and rest your head out to one side or the other, coming forward in a prone lying position. Widen your knees slightly, and then bend your feet so that the soles of the feet are facing upwards to the ceiling, and just sway your feet from side to side in a windscreen wiper shield action or movement. You're just rocking on your hip bones from one side to the other. And then optionally you can cross your ankles one way as you rock to one side, uncross them. As they go to the other side, cross them the other way, but that is an option. This forward lying movement serves a very similar purpose to when you sometimes lie in Shavasana for a few moments. It allows the body to process the movement that we've been making so far before we transition on to the next part of what we're going to be doing. Then bring your feet to the centre, lower your feet to the ground, bring your knees in together more, and in your own time come to bring your hands, palms down onto the ground, elbows up and slightly in, and take your time to come back to kneeling. In tabletop, just gently rock your bottom from side to side. And then come to a seated position for a moment. Your legs can be crossed or out in front of you. And we're just going to do a little bit of self-massage rather than on the feet. It's the solar plexus area, so get your thumb of one hand and massage the palm of the other one in circles. Your body naturally goes for one movement. You can reverse it, but you're generally comfortable with one movement. And then take the thumb of the other hand and massage the other palm. The hands, to a lesser extent, reflect the feet reflexology system as I understand it. They're not quite as powerful, but they are quite soothing still. And the hands, of course, link to the heart. So the sense of the heart is the element of air, and the element of air is a sense of touch. So again, it's almost like opening your heart, your whole centre of body, your solar plexus area. And then very gently, we now come to bring our hands to the ground, and we're going to come to lie on our backs with our knees bent. Feet are hip width apart. And hands are palms down here. And just very gently pelvic tilt, so flatten your back to the ground and then release. And flatten your back to the ground and release. Flatten your back to the ground and release. And now we come to a modified bridge pose. Press both feet into the ground, actually lift your bottom, lift your elbows that are very bent, and raise your elbows up above your head. Chin comes in, and lift your bottom up as little or as much as you would like. And then start to breathe out, and gradually lower your arms and your back to the earth again. And now this time, hold the mat with both hands, so your thumbs are on top of the mat and you're clasping it underneath, and pull the mat towards your feet. Keep your hands like that as you press your feet down and lift up in a more classic bridge once more, lifting your bottom as little or as much as you would like, and pulling the thumbs towards your feet lowers your shoulders and keeps your support there for your lower back. And then breathing out, lower your back to the ground. And as the back comes to the ground, lift one foot and then the other foot, hugging both knees into the chest and just rocking from side to side. Support under your thighs as you bring both feet down to the ground, hip width apart, knees are up to the ceiling. Hug the right knee into the chest, and then open the right knee out to the right, resting the right ankle on top of the left thigh, just above the knee. And then just your hands can either be resting on your abdomen or palms down on the floor as you just rock both knees from side to side. Again, this massage is across the lower back area. And the more you rock, the more you'll massage out across your top of your bottom. You can stay rocking from side to side, or if you'd like to come into reclined pigeon or figure of four, lift off your left foot from the floor and bring your hands to clasp underneath your left thigh. And this will open your right hip. You can increase that sense of right hip stretch by extending your right heel and lifting your left knee towards your face. And you'll really feel that in your right hip. If at any time this is too much, then just ease off. Especially as we're sitting around a lot more, it's winter, the outer right hip muscle, or the outer hip muscles, there's a muscle called the piriformis muscle, and that can often get quite tight and stuck and lead to back problems. Lower your left foot down to the ground. Hug your right knee into your chest and place your right foot on the floor. And then bring your attention to your left knee as you hug that into the chest. Open the left knee out to the left and place the left ankle on the right thigh just above the knee. Hand choice either on the mat, down, or on your abdomen. And just rock your knees from side to side. Your hips can lift slightly. And then gently engage your tummy, your lower abdomen, and engage your perineum, and lift both feet off the ground. And clasp under your right thigh, your reclined pigeon. To increase this stretch, extend your left heel. And to increase it even further, lift your right knee closer towards your chest. If you want to have a further challenge, or you just enjoy stretching your leg out, you can then extend your right leg upright to the ceiling and extend your right heel. That's another option, which I quite like. I find it easier, but not everybody does. It's just how you're built. And then gently come out of that, bending your knees, uncrossing your legs, and come once more to hugging your knees into your chest. Rocking from side to side. Slide your hands down your shins, almost to the inside of your shins, and hold either just above your ankles, or if your hands go down there, hold sort of on your ankles. So that the feet are vaguely aiming, or the big toe joints are aiming towards each other, and you're in a supine Baddha Konasana. So it's opening the inner aspect of your groin, and that is where you've also got some lymph nodes, your lower lymph node, part of your immune system. So just take an in and an out breath by holding your ankles. If you wanted to do this at home, you would have your feet on the ground and lots of cushions either side underneath your thighs. And then hug your knees in together and drop your hands behind your thighs, clasping them, and just raise your legs to the ceiling. They can be still bent, and just rock from side to side. Like a seaweed motion. Your knees or feet are just subtly moving with the water as it just sways gently with the water movement. So this is an inversion, and there are many versions of inversions. Legs up the wall, over a chair. This is a modified version. You can have a cushion under your bottom to lift you up and support you a bit more. And then bend your knees into your chest. Bring your feet to the ground. Make them slightly wider than hip width apart, almost to the edges of the mat. Your hands can be resting on your hips so that the elbows are out. If you wanted to increase the stretch, just open them like a T at shoulder level, but perhaps start with your hands on your hips. As you sway both knees to the right, your left hip will lift, and you can turn to look either to the left or just look up to the left. Bring the knees back to the centre, and then both knees roll over to the left as your head turns to the right. Once more each side, bring the knees to the centre, let them roll over to the right as your head turns to the left. You can drop your knees as little or as much as you would like. Come to the centre and let both knees gently roll over to the left. as your head looks to the upwards or to the right. Bring your knees to the centre and then stretch your legs out for a few breaths in Shavasana. Palms should be classically up, but you can also rest them on your abdomen. While we're here, just gently circle the ankles a couple of times in one direction. And then gently circle the ankles a couple of times in the other direction. Stretch your toes out and relax. Tense your knees and relax. Tense your bottom and relax. Gently lift your hands, leave the elbows where they are, and circle your wrists a couple of times in one direction. And circle your wrists a couple of times in the other direction. Stretch your fingers out and then just release and relax. And relax your hands back down to the ground. Physically lift your chest up away from the mat and then just release your chest back again. Physically lift your shoulders up towards your ears and then just as consciously lower your shoulders away from your ears. And once more come back to turning your head gently from one side to the other, left to right, right to left. And bring your attention now to the space between your eyebrows, just a little bit up. It's like a dent in your forehead. And imagine the stars there. And in yesterday's paper, it said that yoga has scientifically been proven to massively enhance brain function, and people who practice yoga regularly have or display a brain function that's considerably younger than their actual years, and that it's being approved and, well, it's always been there, of course, but it's been officially recognised as a brilliant thing to do for the brain and mental health. And they're now thinking of incorporating it into mental health awareness. So I thought, well, it's always been like that, but it's nice to see it officially recognised. So bringing your mind back to your star, breathing in through your star and breathing out. And for those of you who would like to choose a colour to breathe in through your star and breathe out anything that's not serving you today. Take a moment too, while we're here, to set your wish, your intention for the day, your sankalpa, and have a thought for the day, wishing yourself or somebody else well, or whatever you want to wish for, and just think that a couple of times to set the intention. And now as you breathe in your coloured air, breathe out anything you don't want to the edge of your body, and now to the edge of the world, and really disperse it out to the edge of the universe. Breathing in fresh energy, positivity through your star, and once more breathing out your coloured air, anything you don't want, to the edge of your body, to the edge of the earth, and once more to the edge of the world. And one last time, breathing in positivity through your coloured air, through your star, to your brain, flooding your brain with positivity, and then breathing out anything, brain or any aches or pain, just gather it all at the star and breathe it out to the edge of the body, the edge of the world, and the edge of the universe. And now take your colour and wrap yourself like cotton wool all the way round in a cocoon of colour, cotton wool, candy floss colour. And just imagine that's going to protect you now for the day ahead. And you can either stay here to relaxing and drifting off, or you can join me to just begin to be aware of where you are, moving fingers and toes. Perhaps bending your knees in
and rocking from side to side, but do feel free to stay where you are. And then yogically you would roll to the right and stay here for a second or two to let the blood settle before you gradually come up to a seated position. So, but come up however you want to come up. Taking your time. You've been on the floor, so you don't want the blood to rush. And when you've got to a seated position, simply just partially open your arms, bring them to the chest, chin to chest, take a bow for yourself mentally, to have a very lovely day ahead. And thank you very much for joining me.